Hey everyone, it's Shelby's Comics. I'm doing something a little bit different today. So I was watching an episode of Comic Tropes with Chris, and I like watching older episodes and catching up. He's done hundreds of episodes, and he had done an episode where someone in Australia had sent him some books, and in one of those boxes were these UK annuals. Now, he said he'd never seen them before, and I don't know, I just kind of always assumed everybody knew about them, but maybe not. So, I was going to show off my small collection of UK annuals. Comics in the UK have kind of an interesting history. An independent company published a few Marvel strips in the 60s, but then Marvel UK actually opened a office there in the UK, and they started publishing weekly comics, and they were just reprints. Sometimes there'd be different covers and stuff. It wasn't until 1976, I believe, when the very first UK only comic from Marvel came out, which was Captain Britain, and that was done by Chris Claremont and Herb Trimpe, I believe. But most books, like in the 80s, there was Action Force, which was the G.I. Joe imprint. There was Transformers. And a lot of those weekly comics, what they did is if you took a normal size comic book, let's see if I can find a kind of a normal comic. You took a comic and you sliced it into three different parts, or you sliced it up. It only equaled to about 3 weeks of stories for one comic book. And so the fourth week would be actually new stuff published there in the UK. So definitely I would suggest, look for Action Force and for the Transformer books. Those actually have new stories that I don't believe ever were published in the US. But what I was going to discuss today was these annuals. Now, unlike our annuals, which come out usually in the summertime, and they're new stories. Sometimes they have reprints, or at least they used to have reprints. I guess now they're all really new stories. The annuals in Britain came out near Christmas time, and they were hardcover. And they always had reprints that came out during Christmas time to help with Christmas sales. It's when the biggest sales were. And so I thought they were pretty interesting. And, I'm not sure if a lot of people knew that about the British annuals, that they were all hardcover, came out, like I said, near Christmas time. So I have a few examples here. This is an older Fantastic Four annual. So, I'm really into Fantastic Four, and collect almost anything Fantastic Four. Also have a Star Trek 1976 annual. So Star Trek began in syndication for us. The original 1966 series, or 65, began syndication for us in the early 70s. And then, of course, like the first Star Trek convention, I think, was 72. Wasn't until around 75, 76 that it started going into syndication in the UK. And so this is a Star Trek annual from 1976. Here's a couple more examples. So Marvel Storybook Annual, which features Fantastic Four, Hulk, Doctor Strange, Submariner. And then another Marvel Comics annual featuring a lot of the same characters. And all these were reprint books of older stories, usually the Jack Kirby era. And my oldest one is this. So, Marvel Annual. This was published in 1972. So one of the very first annuals that came out from Marvel in UK, and I just love the artwork. It's from the original Hulk run, which only lasted, I think, 5 issues, and then went over to, I believe, Strange Tales. But this is my oldest, and I don't want to pull it out or anything. It's pretty old. Some of these are brittle. They're not done on the best paper. They're hardcover, so the binding is using glue, and a lot of those are cracked. So I did open two of my FF annuals, kind of show you some of the difference. So one of these is from 1979, the other is from 1980. And what's really great about these, besides the fact this one is the 1980, here's the 1979 one. What's really great, when I open it up, you can see the binding has been broken because of the glue, but a lot of the strips were in this one color process. So in this case, cyan or blue. And you can see someone actually was selling it, and you can see they was selling for $1.50 pounds. But yeah, the strips were done in blue. And what's really neat about this one is this has all the Agatha Harkness stories from the Fantastic Four run when she was first introduced. Fantastic Four 94 up to I think about 112, 114. But this shows them going to New Salem to find a babysitter, and the introduction of Agatha Harkness. So I thought that was pretty neat. But just, yeah, amazing colors that you don't normally see with Marvel Comics. Now in the center, so they had these kind of breakout stories retelling the origin of the Fantastic Four. These Real Estate looks like by John Buscema, but then the center, they did 4-color process. So the center story, and then it's also kind of neat, they just take pictures and they turn the story into a narrative. So it's kind of like reading a novel and you get one picture. But then, wow, check that out. So cool. And then they have, little games and stuff. Like I said, these were geared towards Christmas time, when you may spend a little extra money at Christmas for these a little bit more expensive books. So, let's see. Here are some things. Tackle these teasers. We've asked the Fantastic Four to come up with some brain teasers, and here it goes. So, asking Sue Storm, me being a bird, so the thing says, ask some bird questions. Sometimes a bird's name means something else. Can you find the answers? Number 1, when you are hungry, to have a bit of fun. Royalty could be this. To win a race, you have to be this. So the answers are, number 1, swallow. When you are hungry, swallow. So swallow is a bird. Number 2, to have a bit of fun, lark. I've heard of a lark, but I guess maybe it's a British thing, calling lark as having a bit of fun. Royalty could be this, a kingfisher. And then number 4, to win a race, you have to be this, swift. I've never heard of a bird called a swift. Again, maybe that's a British thing. So it asks the thing, I'm a sporty type, so I'll ask you a sporty question. Does a football, and it does not show a picture of football, it shows a picture of a soccer ball. Does a football weigh heavier with air in it or without? And it says heavier with air. Well, of course, right? Air weighs something. Probably not a lot, but something. Ooh! Then it has the race through Dr. Doom's castle, a little game. Oh, it's been so long since I've looked at these. And what's funny, so it says, Reed Richards decided to have a quick 300-meter around the deadly castle of Doctor Doom, but he came across more horrible hazards and paralyzing perils than anticipated. See if you, with the help of a die, can get through it. Any number can play. So it's funny that they do meters, right, instead of feet. But yeah, so it continues the story that was left off, but then in color. So the first part of the story was in blue only, and then color. And then, if I'm not mistaken, when it gets near the end, oh, such great color. When it gets near the end, so all these are in color. Yeah, it gets near the end, the color switches to red or magenta. So, and here's a page you can color. I'm glad no one colored it. But yeah, it's kind of weird. So it starts off in blue or cyan, goes to 4-color, and then it ends in red. And I did know this. All British comics that I've seen, the last page, like this is the actual binding of the book, is the last page. So unlike American books, it usually has another white page, they end it. And again, this is that Agatha Harkness story, where they're fighting, oh, who is this? Baron somebody. So, but yeah, very cool. Very cool. The 1980 annual, opposite, it starts off in red and has, looks like the Red Skull. But this is the first appearance, if I'm mistaken, of Madrox the Multiple Man from Fantastic Four Annual, I think number 4. But yeah, really cool. How it's in red, and then again, as it gets to the middle, it goes to 4-color. There's a little game. And they changed the story to this narrative again. So entitled A Shade of Dangerous. But yeah, it continues that Madrox story, but in color. So it starts off in red, then goes to 4-color. Has another game. So join the FF on the prehistoric plateau. So they have to get through the prehistoric. Well, they didn't do it in the Savage Land. And then here's, I believe it's Fantastic Four 25. I'm not sure if this is number 25, but where they encounter the X-Men. It doesn't say what, American issue they're reprinted from. So, and then it has another narrative story at the end, and now it's done in blue. So then they opposite, so it went from red to 4-color to blue. So they continue the X-Men story, but in blue only. So I'm not really sure what's up with that, but it looks great. It looks amazing. And then of course the very last page is the last page. So yeah, pretty neat. Just have something interesting to collect, if you can find these, and I collect them, so if you find them and you want to get rid of them, definitely call me up. But, yeah, just something really kind of neat out of the history of Marvel Comics and superhero comics in general. but for British audiences. So, I wasn't sure if y'all knew about these or if they did these or not, but, I thought it'd be interesting just to show off what few I have, and this is probably over 20 years of collecting. I don't actively search these out. I'm sure most of them I bought at conventions and stuff, but I only have, 6, 7 issues of these, and, really happy to get this Star Trek one. I have a few British things of Star Trek, and I'd worked on the Gold Key collection at one time. I have quite a few issues, but it's not anything I actively collect anymore. Even when I started collecting that, the number one was still $800. And I'm kind of freaky about condition and stuff. But yeah, so something kind of neat, from across the pond. I really enjoy these. I enjoy the art. I enjoy the different printing techniques. So just something that's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Hey, thank y'all for viewing, and let me know below if y'all knew about these or any other kind of interesting history. And I probably got some things wrong, so y'all correct me down below. My knowledge of these. There is a blurb that I thought about reading on the Marvel Comics fandom page that talks about the history and lays out the history a lot more than what I did. That you can check out. But hey, thank y'all for visiting today, and hopefully you enjoyed this little trip, like I said, across the pond, looking at some really different types of books that you don't see every day. So with that, like, comment, subscribe, hit that notifications bell. Anytime you want to see this face, try to drop content all the time, and yeah, y'all be good to each other. And remember, peace, love, and comics. Thank you all. Bye.